This is a little review of the updated, modified 30-pound Harbor Freight sandblast cabinet. This is a 2001 version. Actually, I don't think it's changing much. But for those that are going to do the glass upgrade, I would recommend you measure your frame, because my frame is warped and it's not exactly 24 wide and 12 high, so that's why you see the cracks. Plus this is the I think this is a Harbor Freight. I found it out in the street somewhere. That's what I use, and it's just doesn't cut too well, so make sure you get I ordered another one, not a Harbor Freight but a different glass cutter, because I got my glass at Home Depot. They don't do any cutting services, so I cut it myself, which is a good experience. Never done it before. Other modifications, you can see the front is cut open. Oops, let's see. And I'll go over the new mixture adjustment and mixture hardware that I put on, and also the new drain underneath there. I'll go through that in some other next video. Basically, I'm following some of the concepts found on YouTube. The vent is, this, I used to use this thing as a vacuum port. Now I changed it to be the inlet, and the exhaust, I fixed it so it has this, I covered it up instead of having this thing in there now. I mean, this big hole, I changed it so it has a lot smaller hole to handle the small vacuum that I have. Eventually, I guess in the next video I'll show you what I'm going to do next, but this stuff is temporary, and this is the air hose, which is also temporary. I've got some other ideas to fix that up. Pretty much that. It's basically all scrap. This is some of the sealant that I used. It was recommended, but I don't know. I would say any sealant would, obviously works, but with this cabinet you don't need any on the inside as much as the 40-pound cabinet, because the media bin is welded together. You don't have to put it together in this cabinet, so it has different requirements. It's kind of a better deal, so you don't really need a lot of sealant on the inside that people are afraid that it might chip off and get impregnating a part or something like that where you're going to paint it. I've heard that. I'm thinking just a regular caulking would suffice. The vent I made out of I didn't have like a pie pan or a bread pan, so I used whatever scrap I could find. That's the top of I split a old shock absorber, the top of a shock. I split it in half and just welded it together. It seems to work. I would say it might need to be longer, because some sand actually does pop out from there. But also the lighting I'll go into in the next video. Pretty basic stuff. The tray here also I made it smaller, and in this case with the 30-pound unit you don't have the nice heavy duty screen. With this 30-pound unit you have this flimsy screen, which I chose to fold up and use the old pieces to make something acceptable. I have this thing, another piece of scrap down here that's kind of holding it up. I guess that might be about it. I need to do more sealing here. I do get a little leakage, you could see, right here. The media hose attaches down here. This is all welded in. I chose to weld a pipe and use a pipe instead of putting this hose through there, just for, I don't know, I just happen to have all this, all these pieces you see here were all scrap in my scrap pile. The bent, this is all conduit, it's like 1/2 inch and 1 inch here, and I had a Y fitting, a Y piece like this for some other project, and I welded it on there. So it's a mixing chamber. The bottom here, you can see it's the drain plug, which is new. This used to be the old location for the drain plug, where I plugged it up and drilled a new hole for the 1 inch conduit. And the bottom piece here is some old bicycle parts from the front fork. It's the bearing cup for the drain cap. But I'll get into that in some other video. You can see some of the caulking that you do on this bin, and the 30-pound is done externally, so you don't have to work on the internal and risk it flying off and getting in some of your sandblasted items. This hole was also plugged up. I just, welded a piece of sheet metal in there because I didn't really want to mount a light here. I mounted both lights on the top. This one switch dealing with the vacuum plug on the other side. I might hardwire a exhaust fan on there, like a bathroom exhaust fan, one of those squirrel cage fans, and forget the vacuum, because I don't need to clean the air, because you can see I'm mostly outside. And this cabinet ends up on a shelf inside the garage somewhere when I'm not using it, because I just don't have the space. I don't have the floor space for the 40-pound cabinet to take up floor space on the garage floor. So anyway, this is I just touch. It's an old cabinet, but I think they're the same now, so they do last. It was just chipped up. I sanded it down, did a little bit of metal work on it just to keep it from rusting. I don't know if I'm gonna paint it. I just want to use it. It seems to be working great. So I'll get into more details in the next session.